there, planner friends, and welcome to this video all about my 2020 bullet journal. Now, since you are smart, perceptive people, you might notice that this is not a Hobonichi Weeks, and you are correct. You are smart. This is not a Hobonichi Weeks. It is still in my repertoire, however. This, in conjunction with the Hobonichi Weeks, pretty much sums up my planning for 2020. Because the beginning of the year is a time of reflection, and for me that means a time of some serious obsessive dwelling. And in that time, I realized that the shortcomings I experienced last year with the Hobonichi Weeks, where I kind of abandoned that for the last 3 months of the year, they could be remedied by this newer system that I'm going to tackle. And essentially what this is satisfying both my left and my right brain needs, because I am one who needs some creative outlet, but I am also one who needs some very organized, like linearly distributed information. So I have two sides working, and usually they're at odds with each other. But this year I'm going to try to satisfy both, and we'll see how that goes. So this is definitely the creative side for me. And in here, it will just function as like a second brain, essentially. This is the messy business. So this is the 2020 bullet journal I am going to use. It's essentially standard Leuchtturm, except it is in the Bauhaus edition. And I picked this up, I think, at the end of 2018, along with the yellow and black version from the only US distributor I could find when it first released, and that was an architecture museum somewhere in the eastern United States. So I impulsively purchased two. You might have seen the yellow one in my Instagram feed, and that's because I originally wanted to start 2020 in the yellow one. But when it came to doing that dreaded year at a glance spread, I put in all of the wrong dates. I put in a year at a glance for 2021 rather than 2020. So rather than fix it, patch it, white it out, anything like that, I decided to hold on to it. And it is stashed away until 2021 because I'm not going to fight that. So I moved on to this one, and it's just as beautiful. The difference between this version and like a standard Leuchtturm is essentially the color of the pages and the fact that this gorgeous bright color is on the inside pages. That's it, essentially. And also there's a tiny print at the front. Everything starts from a dot, and that's repeated on the inside cover as well. What's neat about these pages is that the surrounding color is repeated in the grid. This grid is blue rather than the standard like grayish color, so that's pretty neat. But other than that, it's the same. You have a bunch of perforated pages. I always look for the page, the last completely bound page that isn't perforated, and I go ahead and make that my pen test area so that I know the next page is going to be perforated. And I've already used up this page patching mistakes I've made, because again, that delicate balance of being creative or demanding things be super organized is that you're hard on yourself when you try to be creative and you try to strive for some semblance of perfection, or at least something that you're okay with. So if we bust on in here, I've already slapped down a sticker. It is something from Society 6 from one of my favorite artists, illustrators that I follow on Instagram, and I will post her information down below. And I put in 2020. I will probably embellish this a whole lot more. I intend to write my name and my email just in case it gets lost, or just to doodle if I get bored, because this is just too perfect of a matte tomato platform to not mar with my sketchy whiteness. So I am back to using jelly rolls too, by the way. They look beautiful against this color, and they seem to really work. I was using a Uniball Signal, but it died and I couldn't find one readily available, so I settled. But it's not really settling because it's working really well. I just can't use it on washi. I have this page that's glued in that I don't know what to do with. I have my table of contents, and after watching Plant-Based Brides Setup, I realized that that's right, they give you far too much room. I split up the columns too, and as you can see, I'm already nearing the bottom of the first set, so this is a genius move on her part, and one that I will gladly steal. On the next page, it's a little bit sticky because if you are familiar with stationery, you are familiar with the brand Midori. And if you are familiar with the brand Midori, you know that every year they release like A6 size calendar stickers for the year. It comes with the year at a glance, comes with 2 years at a glance actually, and that's what got me in trouble with my year at a glance in the yellow one. It comes with the current year and the future year. So I was fully looking at the 2021, not the 2020. Anyways, I tried to put the 2020 down here, but it did something weird. Like, the sticker was very firm and very rigid, but the paper around it just wanted to rebel and curl and do all sorts of things, and it was just not something I could abide by, so I removed it because it is removable and repositionable. However, it left behind a whole bunch of adhesive, so I currently have a sticky note on there that is also A6 size. Eventually I'm going to commit to a key and I'm going to draw it out here all nice like, but for now I'm still experimenting with the key that I want to use in 2020. So until I have mastered it to the point where I no longer need to reference it, which seems to, you know, kind of negate needing to write it down in the first place. But as soon as I master it, then I'll make it all pretty. But for right now, it's just on a post-it. I also closed the book when I removed that giant sticker, and adhesive got on both pages, so I had to cover this one up too. And this was just a freebie from one of my favorite shops, Cute Things from Japan, and I just glued it in here, and I put Goals 2020, and these are stickers. These are actually from current Target dollar spot. However, that is a misnomer, of course, because the book was actually $3. But it's just a bunch of alphabet stickers and a couple of number stickers. And essentially, my dreams or goals right now are kind of practical. Get my teaching credential. That works because I'm in the last semester of my teaching credential program. Find a job that's more like a career. Yeah, find a teaching job. That all makes sense. As long as things go to plan and I keep busting my butt, we'll get there. So these are attainable goals, although looking at it from the start of 2020, they seem pretty far away, in all honesty. This is from the Happy Planner sticker book. It's the most current, like, Stargazer one. I couldn't resist. I purchased 2 Happy Planner sticker books in the last 6 months. Stargazer, and then one that's like simple and cute, which sounds a little demeaning in a way, but it was simple and flippin' awesome. So therefore, purchased. And you'll see that later on, where I utilize that a little bit. Let's see. This is the fabled Year at a Glance page. And can we just pause to admire its magnificence? It is so beautiful. Like many stationery lovers out there, like yourselves, I'm sure, I hoard pens. I think I have a need for indelible inks in multitudes of color. Like these are all Sakura Micron pens in a rainbow of colors and sepia tones. And I justify the purchase by thinking that everything that I create must be acid-free, must be archival. And then I never get around to actually using them. So I put them to work this time. And each month has its own special color. And then I went ahead and put in known like holidays and yearly. Hi Zelda. And yearly occasions into this setup. I primarily use my Pilot Friction pen in here because this solves a couple of problems that both the Hobonichi Weeks had and my previous bullet journal had, and that is I will never get it together enough to create a monthly spread. At the same time, I don't want to put everything in the monthly spread yet. I kind of want like a landing place for it, but one that's super organized. So this will hopefully solve that issue. It's going to get messy, no doubt. It already is starting to, because some of these known dates that are in the colored micron are getting covered up by this friction pen. That's okay. Because things change, and if they change, I want them to change here. I don't want them to change like in my weekly or monthly breakdowns. Here I can deal with it. Here I can erase it. Here I don't care if it gets crossed out or whited out or anything like that. So that's the theory behind this. And despite the fact that I typically get like half a year out of one of these books, I stuck in the whole year because I will easily decide that I don't need to write something down if there's no place for it. And that failing will hopefully be accounted for by this setup. We'll see. I also put extra dots around the Mondays because I like to know what day starts the week. And I also like the visual breakdown too, which is why it's a combined one rather than just this one, which I've tried on its own, or this one that I've tried on its own. I think the combination will work really well. So here, right now as it functions, I can easily fit to 2020. This signals the beginning of all of my 2020 biz. But in order to break that off, or to section that off, I've used some of these book darts. And these I found, or my husband rather, found at Daiso. And it was like $1.50 for a pack of 8. And they're so slim and nice, I keep the whole pack back here. And this sections off some stuff that I want to reference in the future for sure, especially this tamale recipe. And something that was very helpful when I started this bullet journal in December, but something I don't need right now. So let's take a moment to look at this jumble of things. And this super beautiful clean spread that I, of course, did not utilize to its fullest. That's okay. So I'm just going to put this back on. These book darts are really wonderful for the bullet journal, and I am so sad that I haven't used them or found them or purchased them until now. So on this side, it's my title page, my welcome page, my welcome into 2020, and all I did was on some vellum, so this stuff, I drew 20 and Yeah, I drew 2020 out 2 times. That's why they're technically not matching. And then I cut them out, and then I put it behind more vellum, I think. And then I like traced on the back. It was a very inelegant system that I've since perfected, I think. But it took a very long time, and I just threw some washi down, and then I cut around it, and then I peeled it up, and then I stuck it down, and then I thought, well, the remnants from that cutting look awesome, so I'm just going to slap it down here too. So again, this like reflects my brain. On one hand, I need things to be clean. On the other hand, I really like when things are jumbled too. And this features all of my favorite people. My husband, our dog, and a cat, and some of my favorite washies. Also features my words of the year. I have dual words of the year, resist and persist, which seem antithetical to each other, like they would cancel each other out, but nay, resist means I need to resist my urge to kind of disappear, because I always, rather than exert myself, tend to just do the bare minimum because I know I can get away with it, because I know that's going to get me an A, or that's going to get me, like, whatever. Like, it's going to get the job done, no matter what. I always finish. I always get the job done. But I'm not always satisfied with the efforts I put into things, and it is so easy to disappear at times, and I just need to resist that urge and persist in order to attain the goals I set up for myself at the beginning of this thing. I'm going to need to persist. I need to keep showing up. I need to keep improving. I need to keep learning. I need to keep going on. And that's why they exist, and why they don't negate each other in the least. Okay, so I think I just kept on with the rainbowy theme because I really wanted to use those microns. So this is my period tracker for 2020. I like looking at things as part of a whole, and knowing myself, if I put in the effort now, when I have the privilege and the schedule to take this break and to focus on some selfishy things, if I invest the time in now, then I know that when I'm on autopilot in the next couple of months, I'll really appreciate the time it took to do this. And the time wasn't that awful. And if I'm being honest, planning isn't my hobby. Drawing lines is my hobby. Nothing fills me with greater joy than drawing straight lines. It's very calming because your brain kind of shuts off and it's so graceful. But yeah, that's what I kind of realized. I love drawing lines. Anyways, I like to see things as a big picture sort of layout. And while my year in pixels, those spreads look gorgeous and very intriguing, and like something I could definitely do, knowing from past habits, past versions of myself, I will never employ the use of multiple highlighters for more than color coding classes. That's about the extent that my color coding goes, or the extent of my color coding rather. So I decided to throw all of the color down initially and then employ the one tool I'm guaranteed to have forever and always, and that is my favorite pen. It's just a Jetstream 0.4, I think. The Jetstream is the pen that Hobonichis come with. It is also an option for multi-pens like this Uniball Style Fit system. And it's a hybrid ballpoint ink, meaning that it has like more oily viscosity than normal ballpoint, but it's nowhere near like a gel pen. It's like a happy medium, kind of, but more on the ballpointy end. All of that to say, these are my moods. They're very specific to me. I have fan-freaking-tastic, I have peachy, I have meh, I have awful, I have productive, and then I have obsessive. This last one is just a space, so we'll see how the year progresses. I might be in need of another mood. And productive for me is blank because that's kind of it. I know our value seems to be in our ability to be productive. Productivity is definitely a measure of success in a lot of ways. But to me, while I initially feel awesome if I'm able to cross off a bunch of things from my list, I know ultimately it probably doesn't serve any greater purpose than just to get me through the day. And because of that, I wanted to mark it with nothing, just to show that that's the ultimate reward. It's essentially nothing. It's just getting me through the day. Super deep. This is my tracker organizer. So trackers are super popular with bullet journaling. You can have a yearly tracker, you can have a monthly tracker, which is super popular, or like a weekly tracker. I tend to do things like in a weekly tracker, but I tend to let the data just sit there and atrophy, and I don't analyze it. And I've probably said that a million times on this channel and haven't done anything to that or with that or done anything to remedy it. No, not until now. Now I have this organizer. So I am going to put all of the trackers from all of my weekly spreads into this mix. I also have devised a sleep tracker that I'm going to use every month. Well, that's the goal. So far I have January and I'm going strong, so knock on wood. Yeah. So on one side, I think I'm going to use, because the beauty of this is that I don't have to do it while I'm on the go. I can do it when I get home, when I have all of my pens. Home is where my pens live. I love my home. I'm gonna use this Tombow Play color dot, probably in a better color. I'm just gonna mark the days that I've actually achieved these habits based off of my weekly trackers. And then I'm going to take the hours that I've slept, crunch that data, and I'm going to plot this on a line graph that overlaps the play color dot. That's the theory. That's the idea. We'll see how it turns out. I did only give myself 6 months because I figured 6 months is a good time to try something out and then to adjust. Whether that's adjust forcibly because I just don't use it, or whether that's, you know, an actual step back, assess, and then adjust. So this messy spread with super cute little doodles is my skincare sort of section. My little brother always spoils me every Christmas, and I spoil him too. It's a mutual spoiling. But he got me a lot of skincare this year. I should take it personally, but instead I'm just grateful. And I decided to start kind of track my routine. Not so much track, but just if I try something out, I want to be able to write about it and remember that, so that when I go to replenish something, I have a lot more data basically to base my choices off of. Skincare just fits my life because it's another inconsequential way to exert control over one's life that has really no impact, but makes you feel a whole lot better. But I drew all of these bottles on Post-its so that I can move it or migrate it from here over to here, and then move stuff that I have over to here, because I feel like I want to switch it up frequently, probably. Again, that's the goal. So this spread is all about money, as the Happy Planner sticker can attest to. It's money coming in and money going out. I still don't know how I'm going to break up the money going out portion, like what categories, but I've already scheduled a day where I'm going to sit down and kind of break that up, because I do have an expense tracker in my monthly, but it's more like a line by line. Spent money at In-N-Out, spent money at grocery store, spent money on books. It's not really processing the data, it's just raw data. So this will be the processed version. On this side, in just regular tiny writing, it says wish list, because I intend to write down the stuff that I'm going to buy or I'm thinking of buying here this year, because I just need to step back and think sometimes about why I think I want a thing. I probably need to do a little bit of writing about why I think I want that thing, and this is hopefully the space where I can do it in. Okay, so this is my first monthly of 2020. It says January, that's how you know. And this was me mastering the skills that I kind of experimented with over here. However, I will say that for this method, where you like lay down washi and then cut around it to create your own sticker, it really helps if the thing you're cutting out is large. So this was pretty difficult, and as you can see, I didn't even attempt to take out like the insides of the A's or anything like that, because it was just too delicate. But I worked it out. Instead of using vellum, I wrote January on a Post-it. I put that Post-it behind wax paper. I drew over it so that on the back there would be like this pencil etching, and then the Post-it was essentially discarded at that point. I put washi over the imprint on the other side, and using that imprint, I cut around it and peeled it off. It peeled off really nicely from wax paper. It was effectively a sticker at that point. This is a color combination that I don't tend to gravitate toward, but I really like this washi. It's from Note and Wish, and I used it when I graduated last semester, or not last semester, last spring, and it just looks very jubilant and very like fresh and bubbly. Haha, bubbly. And I wanted to kind of evoke that in this new year. And it's just a monthly. I like the Monday start standard monthly. I messed this up. These are technically smaller than all the rest of the boxes, but it's very hard to notice, so I'm not bothered. And then here I have just the old Happy Planner sort of categorizations for the month: reading, listening, watching, eating, going, loving, celebrating. So yeah. Then I have a spread where I employed that same washi sticker thing to my own fonts, and I wrote notable and junk. Notable is a line every day for what it was good that day. So far, the best day was when I was feeling kind of blah, and my husband went out while I was taking a nap, and he went to the Mexican market, and he got conscious, and I was like, this is amazing. He's never gone to a Mexican market by himself before, and I was impressed. So that was a fantastic day. This is junk, brain dump junk. I don't like the word dump, but I do like the word junk. So, yeah, they're interchangeable, right? This I might reconsider for my February spread because I don't seem to be utilizing it very well. So I was kind of sick of making my own stickers, but I wanted to keep the same theme, so instead I just cut it out of a Post-it. And this is my sleep tracker. Again, I'm going for the simplest method because I could use those play dot markers, but I can't guarantee that I'll take one with me. And if I get the chance to like look at my bullet journal, maybe like right after I park and get ready to head into work, in that 5 minutes I might only have access to one pen. Again, my favorite pen, so that's what I've been using. This is my expenses. It has dual columns. In the future, I'm just going to do my favorite thing and draw lines with a ruler because this isn't going so well on this side. Yes. This is my first spread for 2020, and since I haven't returned to work I have returned to work today. Today is the 13th. But since this week was no school, no work, basically me just chilling and adjusting, I played around with my spread a little bit more. I did really, really small boxes. I did a thing that said what would make me worry less because I'm an exceedingly imaginative worrier and my worrying knows no bounds, especially when I'm not occupied by something. So that's a real thing that I need to be more aware of. I also decided to do like an hourly tracker because especially when I'm on break, I find it hard to function without some sort of schedule. And then I get like into this weird rut where I feel like I don't have a lot of control over my time, or I feel like I don't have enough time or something like that. But this helped me to notice a few things. Multitasking is a skill. Multitasking is useful for a lot of things, but if I'm multitasking, there's one thing that's going to get my active attention and one thing that's going to be more passive, and I need to be aware of that. So watching a movie and doing something, that's fine, because I could watch the movie passively and I can actively work on a thing. It's going to take a little bit longer though, but at least I can do that. But if I'm watching a TV series I've never seen before and I'm also trying to do a thing, it's not going to work because the TV series I've never seen before should probably get my active attention. Yeah, nothing revolutionary. Here's my tracker. It's all cute and tiny, and this is just raw data, raw fodder for the master organizer over here when the time comes. This is another brain dump page. This is about the California Teaching Performance Assessment, or the Cal TPAs, which if you are a teacher or trying to be a teacher in California, this is a thing. It's essentially where you submit evidence that you are competent, and I have to do that this final semester, which coincides with my clinical practice because I'm going to have to record myself teaching and all that fun stuff, and it is nerve-wracking like no other. This is from a Happy Planner sticker set. It says only the brave teach, and I really liked that. Also, I think for school stuff I'm going to be using this version of the mild liners. These are the brush ones, but I have the standard highlighters too, but I think it's the warm set. I just really liked them, and they played with the Happy Planner stuff. This is all about clinical practice, or a dump page for clinical practice. I haven't filled this in despite knowing, I've only known for a few days, but I also knew I wanted to film this video, so I didn't want to cover up too much. I do have to set up a giant calendar in a very specific notebook that they want to see, so I have that done separately. This is more for my organizational purposes. It's like their recommended organizational thing, and if someone recommends an organizational matrix to me, I'm sure as heck gonna follow it because I think that's fun. So I busted out my 11-ger notebook and I created some giant monthly spreads, and I've got post-its going on. It's glorious, and I need to find a way to share that. Maybe on Instagram. This is my dump page for spring semester. I said I don't like the word dump, but I am repeatedly using it. I think it's because I'm tired. This semester I'm so sad. My final semester, and I don't have a book list. And that just breaks my heart. But that's okay. I don't need to spend extra money. These are still in the works. I'm going to do my ideal day semester version and then my read in 2020 rather than a bookshelf, because I like doodling, especially in inanimate objects. In fact, I only doodle inanimate objects. I'm going to draw the tiny little sketchy book jacket in order to denote when I've read a book. And that's the plan. So I kind of need to erase this and probably ink this in a nicer font. This is this week, and it is a more basic spread than the last week. I decided I don't need the hourly. I'm okay. I know I have control over a lot. This is still a break, although I am back to work with like a really small schedule this week. But one thing, because again, I'm using 2 planners, I'm using the Hobonichi Weeks, and I'm using this, and I said this was my creative outlet, this was my brain. I want to do more journaling on this. I know I showed an A6 day-free Hobonichi in my last haul, but I have since used that notebook for something else. So I don't really have a like steadfast unitasker sort of journal. So I want to do more journaling with my planning, like as a reflection. I think I need to be more reflective than I normally am or have been in the most recent past. So I'm giving myself a lot of room to do that. The way it's going to work once I get into my semester and I start teaching every single day is that this is where I'm gonna just plop down my word vomit. I will sift through it on a Sunday, and then I will apply it to my Hobonichi, and the Hobonichi is the thing that I will have no qualms taking out and amending there on the spot. Or if I decide that I need to work on a project today, in the Hobonichi, that's where I delegate the tasks and to certain days. So it's a more refined version of the impulsiveness that is the bullet journal stuff. So it's like a journal in a lot of ways. It's also like a planner, but not quite, because that is one thing I need to improve in 2020. I actually need to plan out some junk rather than just schedule appointments, rather than just do tasks. I need to actually work on projects in a non-counterintuitive way. And that is revolutionary to me. So that's the intent. this bookmark is super awesome. It's by Ink by Jen. I don't think her store is open, / I don't think it's been open for a while, but I'll still post it down below. This was just a very journaly spread. I was getting planner anxiety and I was wanting to jump into a ring bound, knowing full well that, yeah, it's just not going to work for me this year. And I think it's because I have this idea that I will magically become the person who I envision uses this planner, and that's not the case. This is something I'm thinking about doing, which is makeup that I'm currently using to kind of keep track of expiration dates too. So this is a caboodle. And then I would do the same method as the skincare one, where I actually have little post-its and stuff. And then I'll move them to the graveyard or to the in rotation thing. This is wish list, but it's not, because the other one is. So we'll see. That's basically all I have so far. That gives us to page 40. So, not too bad. I'm sorry this has been a super rambly video. I'm also sorry that I didn't do any of this planning with you. But I figured you don't want to see me draw lines. If you do, leave a comment down below, and I will maybe work on one of these like weekly spreads on camera, and that will be fun. Fun for all, I hope. So stay tuned for more videos on my organized Hobonichi weeks and my messy bullet journal. I think, again, this is going to be my creative outlet. I don't think I'm going to be decorating the Hobonichi weeks as much as I did last year, because it is going to be such a crucial organizer for me. This is more my creative outlet, and this is probably the thing that would be more interesting to see, but that's just me. If you'd like to see more videos on how I use the Hobonichi weeks, leave a comment below, and I will certainly do my best to provide that. I will definitely need to post a video here soon about how I use both together, though, to better illustrate what I envision, because I feel like my explanations are just cyclical and make no sense. I am tired. Thank you for lasting if you've made it out this long, and I just really appreciate you. So I hope this video was helpful. I know I like to watch planner videos to get tips for myself or to imagine how this would work in my own setup. So if it completely turned you off from something or either helped you to refine something else, that's fantastic. And that's what I'm here for. I like planners, I like stationery, I like pens, I like all of that stuff. And if you are similarly minded, you can go ahead and subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram, and I'll have all that info down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful 2020. Bye.